The history books will tell you that Nicolás Maduro was toppled by a tactical operation in January 2026. They'll talk about the Delta Force extraction, the midnight flight from Acacia, but they're wrong. The handcuffs you saw in the news weren't made of steel. They were forged from the wreckage of 400 billion Australian dollars math error. Today the world is asking how Maduro was captured. Is Delcy Rodriguez in charge? And what Operation Absolute Resolve actually was? But to understand why Maduro is sitting in a cell in Brooklyn today, we can't just look at the arrest. We have to look at the bill. This isn't politics. This is an audit. Section 1. The oil lottery and Dutch disease. Imagine sitting on a literal swimming pool of gold. Venezuela has 300 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, more than Saudi Arabia. A geological lottery ticket that should have made every Venezuelan wealthy. Oil is a blessing that turns toxic when you depend on it. For decades, oil money made imports cheap and local production pointless. Why grow tomatoes when you can import them for pennies? This is Dutch disease. Oil didn't make Venezuela strong. It hollowed the economy out. By the time Maduro arrived, the engine was already smoking. Section 2, the mortgaged pump and wealth audit. But Maduro didn't just inherit a dependency, he inherited a mortgaged pump. To stay afloat, Venezuela pre-sold its future. Oil for debt deals with China and Russia turned the country's only resource into repayment. Every barrel shipped wasn't income, it was interest. By the time Maduro sat in the big chair, much of the oil didn't even belong to Venezuela anymore. So where did the money go? Forensic audits of Maduro's real wealth reveal offshore accounts, shell companies, and blood gold. While the nation starved, billions flowed into Miami real estate through a hidden system known as the currency scam. Section 3. The currency scam and hyperinflation. This is the part the history books usually skip. Under Maduro, Venezuela ran a dual exchange rate. If you were a regime insider, the government sold you $1 for 10 bolivars. You then sold that same dollar on the black market for 10,000. This wasn't economic policy. It was a wealth extraction machine. Billions meant for food and medicine vanished. By 2014, the ATM was empty. Maduro's solution? Print it. By 2018, inflation hit 130,000%. You went to sleep on Monday, and an egg cost $1. By Friday, that same egg cost $3,000. Prices weren't rising daily. They were rising hourly. People wove purses out of cash because the paper was worth more than the money. Section 4. The Maduro Diet and the Human Hemorrhage. In 2016, the Maduro Diet began. 75% of the population lost an average of 19 pounds. CLAP food boxes were introduced, not as relief, but as a leash. Destroy the farms so people have no choice but to kneel. Since 2014, 8 million people fled. Doctors, engineers, professors. This wasn't migration. It was the largest peacetime exodus in Latin American history. Maduro was left ruling a country of ghosts. To pay off loyal generals, he opened the Arco Minero, handing the Amazon to gangs and smugglers. Gold replaced law. Ecocide replaced policy. Section 5, the final verdict. Operation Absolute Resolve. July 2024 was the turning point. Exit polls showed a 70-30 crushing defeat. Maduro chose ego. Sanctions snapped back like a hammer. By 2025, even military paychecks started bouncing. And when the economy collapses, loyalty collapses with it. The cartel of the Suns realized Maduro was no longer a shield. He was a target with a $15 million bounty. Operation Absolute Resolve didn't require a forced entry. The door was already unlocked by hungry soldiers. Outrow the bill. Delcy Rodriguez claims the seat of power, but the ground has shifted. The world is already looking past the regime, toward rebuilding an oil industry buried under total wreckage. Venezuela is free of the man. Now it must survive the math. The dictator is gone. But the forensic audit of the most spectacular financial suicide in modern history is just beginning. This was the economy that nailed Maduro.